Today, we will focus on limited liability companies in Turkey. Frequently asked questions about limited liability company in Turkey. Our first question. In Turkey, how many shareholders can limited liability company be established with? One shareholder is sufficient for the establishment of a limited liability company. Is there an upper limit on the number of shareholders in a limited liability company? The upper limit for the number of shareholders of a limited liability company to be established in Turkey is 50 shareholders. If the number of shareholders of LLC is more than 50, the joint stock company type must be selected. Is it obligatory for the shareholders to be Turkish citizens? No, the shareholders do not have to be Turkish citizens. All shareholders can be foreign persons. Can a shareholder be a legal person? Yes, and the shareholders of the limited liability company can be foreign persons. For example, a limited liability company or joint stock company abroad can be a legal person shareholder of a limited or joint stock company to be established in Turkey. There is no obligation to have a Turkish citizen shareholder in a company to be established. Can the authorized signatory of the company be a foreign, real, or legal person? Yes, the authorized signatory, the director of the limited liability company, can be a real or legal person established in Turkey or a foreign person. If the legal person is elected as the director of the company in Turkey, he or she must choose a real person who will sign on behalf of the foreign legal person. This real person can also be a Turkish citizen or a foreign person. Can the title of the company be chosen freely? Yes, any title can be used. At least one industry name must be included in the title. Before the establishment, it is inquired whether there is a similar title or not. In the title, Turkish, Türkiye, Republic, National statements are not used in order that they depend on the approval of the Council of Ministers. City names can be used if desired. For example, ABC İstanbul Makine Limited Şirketi. Can the company's logo and trademark be registered? Yes, logo and trademark registration can be made after the establishment of the company. Can the company operate in more than one sector? Yes, it's possible, provided that it is stated in the Articles of Association of the company. It is possible to operate in more than one sector. What is the mandatory minimum capital amount for a limited liability company? The minimum capital required for a limited liability company to be established in Turkey is 10,000 Turkish lira. The capital commitment must be transferred by the shareholders to the bank account to be opened in the name of company after the establishment. In case the capital amount is high, 1/4 of the capital commitment remaining after the establishment is deposited to the bank account of the company by the shareholders within 2 years following the establishment and can be freely used for company activities. What is the term of office of the directors of the limited liability company? The management of limited companies in Turkey is carried out by the directors. More than one director can be selected if desired. The term of office of the directors can be determined indefinitely. Some directors can be authorized indefinitely, while others can have different terms. Does the company have to have an address? Yes, the company must have a legal postal address. Addressing, answering incoming calls, and mail cargo delivery and forwarding can be purchased as services from virtual office companies. How long does it take to establish a limited liability company in Turkey? After obtaining the documents required for the establishment of a limited liability company with foreign capital is completed within approximately 5 to 7 working days. Where is the registry of limited liability companies in Turkey made? In Turkey, the registration of a limited liability company is made at the Chamber of Commerce, Trade Register Directorate, Tax Office, and Social Security Institution in the city where the company is located. How is bank account opened for companies? After the establishment of the company, the establishment documents are given to the bank and the bank starts the account opening procedures. A bank account can be opened within 1 to 5 business days. Banks can request additional information about foreign company shareholders during account opening. How are sales invoices issued? Invoices are created electronically through the software of integrator software companies authorized by the Turkish Revenue Administration and sent to customers electronically. The e-invoices of customers located abroad are sent separately and manually by the issuing limited liability company by email. Which declarations are given in Turkey and when are they given? VAT declaration is given monthly, withholding declaration is given monthly, corporation's provisional tax return 3 months, corporate tax declaration annually, stamp duty declaration is given when there is a contract concluded, social security notice is given monthly. Who is responsible for public debts? In limited liability companies in Turkey, the responsibility for public debts is in the shareholders and directors of the company in proportion to their shares. Liability for commercial debts is limited to the assets of the company. As long as there is no misleading and fraudulent transaction, the persons and institutions with whom commercial relations are made can only go to the assets of the company for their receivables from the limited liability company. They cannot go to the company shareholders or the personal assets of its directors. Do share certificates have to be printed? Limited liability companies in Turkey do not have to issue share certificate. However, optionally the share certificate can be printed. It can be printed by name or bearer. In order for the share certificate to be issued, the subscribed capital must be fully paid. Is the income from the sale of share certificate taxable? The profit to be obtained from the sale of shares of limited companies is exempt from income tax for the shareholder selling the share. How to sell share certificates? The sale of shares must be made with a share transfer agreement to be drawn up at the notary public. The sales transaction made afterward is recorded in the shareholders' board resolution book of the limited liability company and registered in the shareholders' share book. As a final transaction, registration is made from the trade registry office and a notification is made to the tax office and social security institution. What are the tax rates in Turkey? Corporate tax rate is applied as 23% for 2022 and 2023. Income, expense, and profit loss calculations are made quarterly and like this. For first quarter, January-March period statement until May 17. For second quarter, April-June statement until August 17. For third quarter, July-September period until November 17. Fourth quarter, October-December period declaration until April 30 of the following year. It is declared, and if there is a profit, 23% corporate tax is paid. If the period resulted in a loss, no tax is payable. The profit distribution withholding rate is 10%. If the profit remaining after the corporate tax is paid is desired to be distributed to the shareholders in whole or in part, 10% profit distribution withholding tax is paid over the dividend to be distributed. The general VAT rate is 18%. VAT declaration is submitted monthly. How long does it take to close a limited liability company in Turkey? If the limited liability company is to be closed, liquidation procedures must be carried out. Liquidation entry procedures take approximately 1 month, liquidation period takes 3 months, and finally liquidation closing processes take 1 month. All liquidation procedures are completed within 5 months. At least one liquidation officer must be appointed for liquidation. If only one liquidation manager is appointed, he or she must be a Turkish citizen. If more than one liquidation manager is appointed, it is sufficient for one of them to be a Turkish citizen. Thank you for listening.